Columbus and Isabella. Isabella was pacing up and down the marble halls of the palace, clanking with presents she'd given herself. She was waiting for Columbus to come and prove to her that the earth was round. Ferdinand was out as usual, hunting for stamps that had been hidden in all corners of the patio just to keep him hunting. Outside the great hall windows, she could see the entire Spanish Armada riding an old groundswell with no protection but their Spanish pride. Now the Armada was to fire 6 shots if the earth was still flat, and she was to wave her little white mantilla, if you know what I mean, if it was round. And then the entire fleet was to disband and go back to that favorite sport of shrimping. Columbus finally arrived, 2 hours late, wearing his pre-discovery pin and carrying 3 eggs. One was white, one was brown, and the other was his own. Isabella was furious at his delay. She didn't give a damn whether the earth was flat or round. She was only looking for a new thrill, and Columbus intrigued her by doing everything in circles. He was absolutely lousy on a straight line. Suddenly the doors opened and out came 6 Moors, stripped to the waist and naked below, bearing 3 cushions. Isabella missed the cushions and said, "I'll see the racketeers outside." And then she signaled to a little quartet of woodwinds, started an old fandango behind the throne chairs. This was a signal for the entire court to jump out of bed and slide downstairs into position. Ferdinand was still hunting for stamps and had almost found an Ecuador blue, and would have if the court jester hadn't suddenly shouted boo, so he lost his place. Isabella now peeped mercilessly from behind her fan, and going over to Columbus, she gave him a little Spanish goose and said, "For God's sakes, Chris, get on with your eggs." So they blindfolded Columbus, and the entire court concentrated on their chosen egg. The orchestra struck up the old habanera. Isabella sat down and Columbus stepped forward. There was a hush that could be heard around the world. The eggs lay on their cushions shivering. They knew the trick. But did Columbus? And while the court held its breath, he stumbled, and then he fumbled, and then he hoped, and then he groped. And then he fell on his own egg. "It's round," it cried. "So it is," they said. When suddenly a fanfare of trumpets was heard, and the commander of the Spanish Armada walked in. "Your Majesty, the fleet is in readiness. Long live the Queen!" And Isabella, sly old fox that she was, turned to Columbus and said, "Now go and take a ship for yourself." And that's how Columbus discovered America.